Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here today. I'm, of course, Gregor Guy.
And my name is Casey.
And we will be presenting the next episode of the Bangcast. This will be episode 19, I do believe. So, this particular week, this is obviously the week of the Masters. And I started hearing, talk about Tiger Woods coming back and playing in this, tournament. This is obviously one of the major golf tournaments, every year. And on top of that, if you don't know, he was involved in a car accident, I believe, like a year and a half ago.
Isn't it his second car accident? He got in a car accident before.
Well, no, his wife beat the shit out of his vehicle with a golf club.
From my understanding, it was perfectly acceptable.
We'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, there was talk that they were going to amputate his leg.
Right.
So from the research I've done, he had a broken bones in his lower leg, and they had to surgically repair them with pins, screws, rods.
So they built him and they could make him better.
Yeah.
Stronger. Faster.
He's the $6 billion man. Yeah, but I mean, with those level of injuries, I was shocked when I heard this because he has not played a competitive round of golf since this accident. And, a lot of, the analysts and everything were saying that, Augusta National is not the place where you want to play your first round because just the walk itself is so difficult. Because they obviously don't use carts on the Pro Tour.
I mean, I think obviously he definitely put some work into getting back. So to think that he wasn't on a golf course, I mean, obviously I think he was on private golf courses before this and doing shoot-arounds or playing with other people.
Yeah, but this is his first competitive tournament back.
So I haven't paid. I had heard that he came back, but I have not been paying attention to the game at all. So is he actually doing decent?
Well, I typically don't follow golf either. You'll find out who wins on Monday and everything.
Right.
Because I'm gonna be honest. Tiger Woods is, if I had to choose a favorite golfer, I would say he's my favorite golfer just because of his story. And we can get into that in a little bit. But as far as how he's doing, I think his because I've been flipping on Sports Center. I think his first round he was up there toward. I think he was 10th on the leaderboard.
That's not bad at all.
For your first round back. Second round he tumbled down a little bit, and I think his third round was just ugly. But I also did hear that there were extreme wind conditions going on the course when he was out there. So I mean, kind of sucks for the luck of the draw.
I think as with any sport, it's you can golf isn't maybe the most physical game in the world, but it's still a young man's game.
Yeah.
So just for the fact that he's out there doing that well.
Yeah, and he's 46 too.
Yeah. I mean, not saying that he's older or anything because I'm slightly younger and I don't want to be called old either. Well, but I am definitely not a 23, 24, 25-year-old out there smacking balls because I had way more energy and my body recovered way faster back then.
Right. Yeah, and on top of that, he also had his back fused a few years ago. Disc and his back fused together. He came back from that injury and won the Masters tournament, which is the tournament he's playing in now, back in 2019, I believe. Yeah. So
to say that golf isn't a physical game, it definitely is. And there, you put your body. I mean, if you just watch a golf swing, it's just not a natural movement.
Yeah, I agree with that. So basically, that is going to be what we're going to be talking about here this week. The greatest athlete, we'll say, instead of sports, we'll say athlete comebacks, from physical injury that, we have come across.
But I didn't really pick any specific athletes. I picked more along the lines of the type of injuries and stuff like that.
Well, that's still an athlete having an injury and having to come back from it.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the general concept.
The speed at which medical technology nowadays is pumping players and athletes from, like in the past, they'd be like life-altering injuries and career-ending injuries, and how, like, so my first example would be like a Nolan Ryan, and obviously who was a pitcher for the Astros and the Rangers back in the day, probably one of the greatest pitchers, and my personal favorite pitcher of all time. The man played, I don't remember, I think somewhere around 20 years in the MLB. And this is at a time before the medical enhancements have improved to a point. And even still, the injury that he ended his career on was a shoulder throwing injury, which nowadays, if somebody has that injury, they just they kind of rebuild the whole shoulder muscle and reattach it. And it actually, in some cases, makes that pitcher throw the ball faster than they did before.
Modern medicine, right?
Right. and Nolan Ryan himself was a freak of nature. He, like, in those 20 years, and this is at a time, like, nowadays you'll have a pitcher, he'll maybe like throw like 6 innings a game.
Right.
And that's it. And back then, they'd play the entire game. Unless you were doing absolutely horrible. They put you out there, you were pitching 9 innings.
Yeah. And then the manager, if you're doing terrible, will walk out to the mound and be like, or do whatever he does.
Right.
Get this scrub out of here.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's lefty.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't follow a whole lot of baseball. I mean, I do know who Nolan Ryan is.
Right.
Didn't he have some silly record, like he struck out like 300 people in a year or something?
I don't know the records, but I do know he was definitely one of the best, 100%. And not to mention his career was extremely long for a Major League Baseball player in a time where you're pitching 9 innings and not 6 or 4.
Right. Yeah, I could see that being, definitely strenuous on the body.
Right.
I would say. But, as you said, with
now he
modern medical technology and everything, I mean, it just changes sports.
Yeah, I know we were talking about comebacks, and he never did come back from that injury.
Oh, he didn't.
No. However, just nowadays you have it seems like 50 to 60% of the pitchers in the league now have had it's a famous name injury.
Tommy Johns.
Tommy Johns.
Yeah.
Have had the same type of injury and have come back, where it's for Nolan Ryan it was career ending, but for these pitchers they come back in about a year and they're ready to go.